first of all, I will talk about agenda of this meeting, what topics we are going to, list of topics we are going to talk about. So here is this list. So in this session, first we will take one sample application, and I will speak out how to plan an application. Basically, when it comes to development, it depends on requirement. So in this session, in this topic, we will talk about how to how to develop an application, and before developing an application we need to do requirement analysis and the other planning activity. And after that, next topic, I will speak out about Angular 14, basically, because here we are going to develop one web application, and I'm going to use Angular, and especially Angular 14, latest version of Angular. And after that, we will talk about architecture. In previous session, I talked about so many kind of architecture. So here in this session, we will more focus on single page application architecture, and then we will develop a single page application. And single in any web application, we know we can have forms. There will be some kind of navigation. So I will talk about the how Angular enable you to add routing and navigation happen. And if you have to deal with the form, then what kind of code you have to write to deal with the forms. And obviously, when we talk about any web application, it is not just they definitely there is a chance that it does not serve only steady content. It is a dynamic application. Nowadays we deal with n number of application. Most of them are dynamic. And when it comes to dynamic application, so front end application need data to display. So how this data came from, where this data is coming. So definitely there will be some backend application. And why I'm talking about a backend application, because as in the initial of this session, I told you about, because we are going to develop a front end application, and based on a single page application. So it means it is clear in our mind that we are going to create a separate application for web application UI, and there could be any backend application that we can connect by web services or any other medium. Okay. And apart from this, while we develop any web application, in the development mode, how to debug the code, because there might be the chances you are not doing, you are making some mistake and you are getting errors. So how to debug, how to fix them. And at the end, we will talk about deployment strategy, how we deploy it locally or how we deploy it in any server. So I will cover all these topics in this session. And as 2 hours are not enough, so definitely we will miss out few things, but I will try to cover as much as possible. Okay. So in this session, I am not going to develop any fancy or any big application. So I decided to pick one application. Its name is Tour of Heroes. And you who are aware about Angular, they might know Angular official website talk about this sample application. They develop the sample application to explain how to develop a Angular application, how to develop a web application with the help of Angular. And it covers most of the basic stuff, some advanced topic also. And not just this, if time permits, we can, I have one developed application. I have this already developed this one. So I can tell you in the steps how to start and how to add different features in this application. And if time permits, definitely we can extend this application. We can talk about more features. If you have any query, you guys can ask. Otherwise, I can add few more inputs on them if time permits. So as you see in this slide, in the right hand section, you see one. I added here one GIF, and this GIF is telling about interaction, how user interact with this application. So you might get some idea. If you see here, you will see some kind of navigation is there. You see dashboard and heroes and while user click on the dashboard, it is getting a list of top heroes, and while user click on which heroes, it gives list of all the available heroes. And if you pick anyone, you can see detail page, and you can add it, you can add new. So there are some more features are available here, and so that's why I listed here in the left-hand section. You can see what features we are going to have in this application. So definitely, this is a kind of a listing directory of heroes. And if we not just hero, you can treat it any item, list of item, okay, list of users, anything could be happen. This is just an example. So in the feature section, you can see list of heroes, top heroes, add or update the hero. And if there are multiple pages there, then we will talk about the navigation, how navigation happen in this Angular application, and more importantly, why we are using a single page application architecture. Is it there only single page or multiple page? If multiple pages are there, what you see, if you see here, and you judge this as a layman, and so you will see you have seen here there are two pages. Let me open that application so that you guys see it in detail. Okay, so in that slide, I was talking that I included one GIF. So this GIF represents this application, and here I actually open this application, and this is fully developed as per whatever we are going to discuss. But I will tell you that how to develop in parts and compose all, and how we develop a complete application. Okay, so just for, I mean, this is the final outcome about our exercise. So I want to show you that what is there. So whenever I access this application, it is hosted on localhost 4200. It redirects me to the landing page, and this is the landing page you see here. And in this landing page, so if you check the address bar, you see this dashboard. There is a URL dashboard. So it is saying that we access dashboard page. So whenever we access domain name of this application, then it redirects us to dashboard page. Apart from this, there is another page in this application that is list of heroes, and some other features are there on this page. So if I click on this heroes link here, you see in the address bar, URL has been changed. Now instead of dashboard, you see the heroes, localhost 4200/heroes, and you will see the main content area has been changed, and it present different text, different content, and it is presenting the content it was intended to, and it was designed to list out all the available heroes there, and a form so that you can add hero, like if I add here XYZ and add here, then you will see it is added to this list. Okay, apart from this, at the bottom you will see one more section. It is talking about some messages. We will talk later about it. And if in this list you pick any one and click on that, then you should notice the address bar. While I click on this item, you see the address bar has been changed. In the address bar, you see this details /12, and it gives information about one hero, that is Dr. Nice something, and its ID is 12, its name is this. And here in this section, you see one go back button so that you can go back to the previous listing page, heroes page. And if you want to change the content name of that hero, then you can if you want to save, then while you save it, it will take you to the previous listing page, and you see here the content has been changed. Name of that user has been changed. So overall, what I wanted to tell you that here in this application, we have three pages actually. I mean, if we talk about any conventional application. Okay, so first of all, we will talk about any conventional web application. So if we have to develop three static pages, dashboard page and the heroes page and detail of any particular hero, then we will develop three. Usually we develop three HTML, and each HTML has one section, we call it header, and that header can contain link for those three. And this is how we can develop this application in at least in form of three HTML file, and those are interconnected. But that is old approach, and there are some problem with that approach. Like in this example, you see this is a kind of a dynamic list. Okay, here you see few around 10 list of 10 items, 10 heroes. If this list is 100, so are you going to develop 100 HTML files for each particular hero, for detail of each particular hero? So this is the problem, one of the problem with conventional approach. While you develop a dedicated HTML file for each page, so technically, I mean, as we develop this, and I know this is developed in Angular with the help of single page application. So as name suggests, single page application, actually this is just a one page, and one page is able to serve each and everything. I mean, while say each and everything, one page, this single page is able to serve dashboard. Here we don't call pages. Here we call view. So it is able to serve dashboard view. It is able to serve list of heroes view. It is able to serve update detail page. So we can generate n number of view of from a page. And what is the benefit with this? Benefit is that you did not have to develop a dedicated HTML file, and those are not reusable. Okay, and later we will discuss how to do this. So this is the final outcome of our exercise, what we are going to develop. Okay, so let me continue. So as I already mentioned there, that here we are going to develop actually three pages, and all three can be served from the one entity, one page. And this is kind of a navigation of this application. And let me show you something. Okay, if we take a screenshot of any of these, let me just do this quickly. And here I want to do one exercise. I want to show you that how this page is composed. So here you see this section. Here you see this section, two row of heroes and two links. One is dashboard and other is heroes. So you have seen this same section on all three pages, on all three views. So we can say this is a header, and this header contains title of this application and two hyperlink link of other pages. So we are providing navigation here. And apart from this, you have seen another section. This is this one. This is kind of a main content area, and main content area is different on each and every page. And in the main content area also, one section is common, that is this one, message one. So we can treat it like a common footer. Actually, it is not a footer. I will let you know what is this. Here we are trying to show what is happening inside the application. This is kind of a logging. Okay, so we can treat it. This is another common section on this application. And other part of this page section is the hero search. So this is another section where you can search available from the available list. And another section is list of top heroes. So it could be top heroes, it could be latest item, any criteria. Based on any some criteria, we are listing out some elements here. So, and this is one. I mean, I try to bifurcate this space and what sections are there, because whenever we usually, I mean, right now I show you final outcome, final application, but it starts with the actual requirement. So sometimes we get from the client that I need to develop one social media application, or I need to develop something like YouTube, where user can upload their video, other users can can watch and comment and review. And sometimes they come of idea of some kind of product their internal team or they want to launch. So before starting the development, definitely there will be a phase where we do analysis and the design, and we talk about this architecture. We finalize the architecture. We finalize uh, technologies we are going to use, and UX designer and UI designers come up with the final design, something like this. I mean, this is I mean, it is not a beautiful design. This is just a sample application. To do this demo, they definitely come up with a nice, catchy templates, and they define each and every element: the header color, any button color, what will be font color, each and everything is different while it is done. And they share these artifacts, these designs, then developer start development. So right now here, we did not do all these activity. We just know that yes, we have to develop this phase, and here in this exercise we are trying to find the sections available in on this phase. And actually, what we are doing, we are trying to find out if there is any section that is reusable or common section on all phases. Like we find out that this message one is the common one, and this header is the common one you will find on all the pages. Let me show you on other pages also. Again, if you take a screenshot and again check here, then you will see the similar pattern. At the top, you see this header, common header. So it is a common. So it means while we code for this view, then we are not going to code uh, same thing again and again. It means we need to develop it is as a shared code, shared component, shared section. Okay. So again, on this phase, you see this one is the common, and the main content area is serving different content. And on this phase, you will see a form to add a hero and list of available heroes. And apart from this, at the bottom, you again see the common section that is message one. So, and if you again see the detail page, similar thing is happening. The common header and main content area is different as per the URL, as per the page, as per its page specification, and at the bottom you see the common. So to develop such kind of application, we will see that how we use single page application and develop it. Any query so far? Question is, are there any prerequisites that I prerequisite for following along? Yes. I mean, when we talk about any web application, definitely you should know HTML. You should know little bit CSS. You should know JavaScript, and if you know TypeScript, then good, because TypeScript is superset of JavaScript. So at least these three you should know to start with any web application. And because here we are going to use single page application with the help of Angular, so it follow latest architecture, and this is more than just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So at least you should know these three, and you will, if you start working on experimenting with this, then definitely in few days you will be aware about most of the things. And if you know a little bit about Angular, because what is Angular? Let me explain what is Angular. So, and to develop any web application, if you want to add some interaction on any page, then HTML and CSS are not capable to do this. You have to use JavaScript. So in old applications around 10, 12, 15 years before, when we had to develop any web application and we had to add some interactiveness on the page, like clicking on the button is doing, when you click on the button, something happens, some logic gets executed, maybe some API gets called or something. So to do this, we need some programming language, and this is JavaScript. That's why JavaScript is the core of everything of any web application. And browser know about the JavaScript. If you write code in the JavaScript and you pass that code to the browser, then browser can execute it. Browser does not know any other programming language like PHP, Node.js, Java, Python. No, browser does not know, because when we request, so that's why I wanted to explain this slide little bit. That is client and server communication. Basically, here client represent a user machine, and server is the machine where we deploy any web application. So what happened when a user interact with their machine, and they use any browser to access any application. And application could be any web application, Facebook, Twitter, anything, Wikipedia, YouTube, anything, whatever you try to access from the browser. So browser is responsible to connect with that server that you enter. You entered some domain name, and the browser will take help from the internet and internet service provider, and this is how they uh, connect the browser with that. I mean, browser now, if there is connection is made, then browser is able to request for the file, request for the page a user is asked for. So client request, send client request, do one request to server, and server respond. That's why you see one dotted line, and it represent internet between client and server, because client is also a machine and server is also a machine. Only difference is that on one machine, user is using browser to access any application, and other side there is a server application, one machine where this application is hosted. So here you see one user request, and server that hosts a web application. It respond with some file, some page. We will show. I will demo it later in the subsequent slide. So this is typical client-server communication that happen between user and the application whenever they try to access. Okay. And so in the previous slide, we see, we call it, I mean, inside the server, you see one fox-like icon. So it represent a software that is required to run a web application. So sometimes, whenever we develop a web application, we need to host it. And when we say that we are hosting, it means server will not automatically will take care of this. Server machine need one software, we call it web application server. Okay, and this application server is up here. We are using the Tomcat. It could be Apache, and these web servers run your application and fulfill the client request. Actually, these are responsible to take care of these web application. So here I just represented one rectangle box, and I call it web application. But actually, inside the application, what happened? You see, inside the web application, there could be two kind of code, two or three kind of code there. One is the front end. When we say the front end, any code that is consist of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or the TypeScript, and it was intended to run on the browser. Okay, and other kind of code is the backend. Backend is kind of a business logic, database, and how the front end interact with the backend. It could be any web service, business layer, data layer, and maybe backend is taking help from any third party API. So definitely this third party API is not code is not exist inside your web application, but but you definitely had to write some code to interact with that. So that code that communicate with your backend with a third party, that is existed in your web application backend side. And you see in this diagram on the right hand side, you see one instance of database. So there could be one or more than one database, single or more than one instances that store persist your data. So all such this any web application is consist of all such kind of code. So here we are talking about especially front end. So we will assume that backend application will take care of, and our front end application is connecting with the backend. So this is the typical web application, and so all code resides inside the web server, but how execution happen, okay, so it will be defined by the architecture, what kind of architecture we use to develop any application, and it depends on our requirements. So as you see this statement, this is saying the type of web application architecture depends on how the application logic is distributed between the client and server side application. So it might be you request for a page like the dashboard, or in the previous example we have seen the heroes list or detail. So it might be we can design our web application in such a way that browser will just render the content and will not do any kind of logic, any kind of data communication. So it means our front end is completely just a HTML, CSS, and even no JavaScript. Everything is backend is responsible for everything. Backend is responsible to take data from the database. Backend is responsible to take data from any third party API and compose final HTML and pass that HTML to front end. If it is the case, then it is not a single page application. That is a conventional multi-page application architecture, multi-page application, because backend is responsible to compile and develop each and every code. Front end is just, will just render the final content. But that is not, such kind of application are not scalable. Okay, and that's why there is a concept of code separation, separation of code, and it says that your front end code, we can separate our front end code with the backend, and that is only possible if we can segregate this code. Then maybe we can develop separate application for front end and backend. And to enable such kind of development, we need some mechanism where front end application can communicate with the backend. And over the time, one concept came, the Ajax, and Ajax allow you to connect with any backend application from front end with the help of REST services. And this is how any these application evolved over the time, and based on the application we picked right application architecture. So that's why here I mentioned that application architecture depend on the application logic distributed between client and server, who is responsible to do what. Okay, and these are list of application kind of application and their related architecture. So here this is legacy HTML web application, visit web application. So in legacy HTML web application, web server is backend is responsible. Web server is responsible to compile, compose each and everything. Only a browser will just render the page. And visit web application, yes, whenever we request any web page, server send to the browser, and browser render it. But on that page there might be some kind of code that gets executed on the client side, and it initiate data calls. You have seen in few application that you access a page, and on the page load you see some content, some section is still loading. So those are kind of a visit, because that page uses visit to fetch specific information. So that kind of architecture is called wizard web application. And then came single page application. It says that we can develop, front end application separately. We should not bundle back end and front end in a single code base. We can develop separate application. Code can resides in different repository. And here we are doing the same. And here in this session, we are developing front end application with the help of Angular following this single page application. And this is the architecture of single page application. You see here in the client and the server. So actually, this side, in the left-hand side, in the client side, you see this dotted structure, and it is saying the presentation layer. Actually, code is still at the server side, but when you first time load the application, at that moment, it pass all the related front-end code to the browser. So browser will take care of from that point. And after that moment, on first after first initial call, web browser will be responsible to execute that code, because browser know about all the UI code. Now it will not depend on the server. And yes, uh, if you use the navigation, you switch the page, you click on any link, or you interact with the UI, definitely you need data, because the data does not come in one go. Okay, only templates and the code came to the browser. Okay, so browser is capable with the help of Angular to identify what action user did. If user click on any user, any hero, then it know that what will be the route of this page, and it changed that route on the address bar, but actually it does not request it to server, because it has code related to this particular route, and it execute that code and replace it in the main content area. And this is why single page application does not hit page again and again. It only requests one time, and after that all the other views that are available inside this single page application can be served by the browser. Yes, data is needed for the data requirement. UI or front end application invoke the API calls, web services call to the server, and server will take those input and respond with the data. And this is how single page application use that data to render the page. We will see in the next few minutes how this happens. So, we already talked about this single page application and multi-page application communication. This is the visual representation. You see in the multi-page application, traditional applications, a client, whenever a user click, ask for any new page, it requests to the server, and server send one HTML along with the images, CSS, and other stuff. And if user need another page, again it will request. And if user again ask for the previous page, again it will request. So each and every time client server communication happen. So what is happening? What is wrong here? It load too much data, because if we got something in advance, then why we need to interact with server again and again? It will consume more bandwidth. It will make this process slow, because each and every time data gets loaded. And single page application, you see in the first request, we get the first page, and after that, it does not request for any page, because this single page is capable to serve all the views are available inside this application. So this is the basic difference between SPA and MBA. And these are few uh, SP. Whatever I mentioned here, I just note down, uh, rather than loading new pages from the server each time for user action. SP loads a single page. So again, the same thing, whatever I explained. And these are few benefits and drawbacks about this single page application architecture. And here you see list of benefits and drawbacks. So benefits are obvious: speed and responsiveness, enhanced UX, uh, and cross-platform compatibility, less resource consumption, easy to debug. I will show you how we debug the application, simplified development. While it's a simplified development. So in next few minutes, I will show you one command line tool. We call it Angular CLI, and this Angular CLI comes with some commands, and you just execute those commands, and it makes your development easy. Because if you need to develop one page, you need to write some related code. You just execute that command, and this CLI will take care of that input, and based on that, it generates code for that particular page. Yes, it does not know your requirement exactly, but it know the basic building blocks. You will get all the related files in at the exact place in your application, and you can add it then as per your requirement. So I will show you. And yes, it can cache the data. These are some drawbacks, but it does not. I mean, definitely you can read about it. We are not going to talk much on this. However, these drawbacks can be covered with because in Angular is very powerful. We can overcome over these drawbacks. So we have things to do, how to manage it. Okay, so let us go to do some practical. Any query so far? Because
Yes,
now we are
Amit.
going. Yes.
We have two questions in the chat box.
Yes. Sorry, I did not see.
Yeah. First is, what does business logic means in this context?
Okay.
And what is business layer? Two questions.
Okay. So you are talking about this one, right?
Yes.
So, like in our application, as I demo those 2-3 pages, and you see whenever I access dashboard, you see uh, top users or top heroes, and it could be anything. I mean, this is just one example. So sometimes, as it suggests, this page dashboard suggests on the dashboard kind of application or dashboard kind of page, we see I mean, some kind of processed data. I mean, sometimes we need to. I mean, if we let's talk about your future tweets. Okay, maybe if there is any kind of application is available where you can see most liked tweet or most liked photos or most commented one. So this is the criteria to fetch the data, and so to get this data, you definitely, our front end does not have such data. You need to rely on the backend, and backend is responsible to do this activity. Front end will only make the request to the backend. Thus, I need this kind of data. I need data based on these filters, based on these criteria. So backend has some code. Backend has some code, and this code is written as per your requirement. So when I say the business layer is that business logic that will take care of all these things, and the app and the front end interact with the back end with the help of REST services. Some REST endpoints, and UI pass some input, and based on that input and the URL, backend will take care, because backend were designed. Backend expose some API. Backend is designed to take those input and process your input and fetch data from the database, fetch data from the database, fetch data from the API. And this data layer is responsible to interact with the database and the third party API. And this business layer take data from the data layer. So this is how things happen on the back end, and why this is why we separate these layers. Presentation layer, because presentation layer was responsible to present the data. Uh, but when we do the single page application, it also requests and process data in some format. But it, presentation layer cannot retrieve data from that database or cannot retrieve data from the API. And why, if because sometimes data is data length based. I mean, there might be, we are dealing with with big data, and we don't want to process all such heavy data on the front end. That's why backend we design a one layer, business layer, that do all these activities. And this business layer has different motive to do. I mean, it was designed with a different motive, and data layer is different. Data layer is responsible to deal with database and the third party API, and give back data to the business layer. And business layer is responsible to take care of requests from the presentation layer, and respond with the data, whatever data they receive from the data layer. And might be there will be some kind of business requirement, or any specific data processing happening there. I hope I was able to answer your question. If you have any other query or any doubt, then definitely I will try to explain. Okay, so now we know about single page application little bit. We know about how any front end application interact with the back end, and we know about our requirement. Requirement is that we need to develop 3 pages, and those URL could be domain/dashboard, domain/this heroes, and details slash that particular hero ID, so that this page can serve that content. Also we need to develop some search box, and based on this searching, it can present the result. Search box can filter data from the available list you see here. Okay, and on click it can take you to the detail page. You can add new content, you can add new heroes. So all these features we are going to develop. And how do we do this? Let me show you. So it starts with because Angular is a framework. So why we opt with the Angular, why Angular came into the picture? Because Angular is based on TypeScript. Uh, initial phase in while Angular was introduced, it was JavaScript based. And why they define what is framework? Framework is while if you have to deal with a complex code, you have to manage a complex code, then writing all the code in a single file is not a feasible solution. That is not reusable. That is not scalable. Okay, so you have to come with the idea. I mean, you have to deal with this with the help of modular architecture. And to implement modular architecture, you have to divide your application in small pieces, and then you bundle together. And so that's why like Angular, there were so many other frameworks came into the picture. They say that they develop some library, and it library has some predefined codes, and it expedite your development. It will help you to do. You need not to write each and every code. You just need to focus on your business logic. Again, you might get confused with the business logic, because in a few minutes back, I was talking about business logic at the backend. Uh, Here, with this single page application, with Angular application, some business logic transferred to the client side also, because now in the client side, in this Angular application, we can do complex code in the JavaScript or the TypeScript. That's why some kind of processing can be happen on the client side. That's why we are saying the business logic. Okay, so here you see. Let me first show you some directory structure of this application. So this is that directory where we have all the code, and this code is responsible to generate those 3 pages, those 3 views. And on those views, there are several sections. So all are taken care by this source code. So if you see here at the bottom, you see at the root level tsconfig spec, tsconfig app, package JSON, package log, karma conf, angular JSON, git ignore, edit conf. There are some directory dot angular, And in the .angular, you see few things. There is a dist directory, there is a E2E directory, okay, and there is a node module. There are source directory. So don't worry about know each and everything, because when Angular, and as I mentioned, Angular has one utility, they call it Angular CLI. So Angular is saying, yes, Angular is a framework, and you need to set up your application in a certain format, in certain directory structure. We define a few things in form of different files, like this Angular JSON is a kind of configuration. Here we write all the configuration that are applicable on our application related to Angular. Here is in the TS configuration, we write all the configuration related to TypeScript. Why TypeScript came into the picture? As I mentioned earlier, when Angular was launched, Angular 1 or Angular 1.x or Angular 0. Something, okay, those versions were using JavaScript. It was built on JavaScript. Now Angular version is Angular 14. Since Angular 2, now Angular is based on TypeScript. Why they moved to the TypeScript? Because TypeScript is superset of JavaScript, and TypeScript provide more capabilities, more standardized way to develop any web application. So that's why here we are using TypeScript. So there are some configuration. Based on the configuration, we can alter TypeScript behavior. So you need not to worry about all these things. Each and every file has some specific purpose. And so you might ask, do I need to create each and every file manually and write all these code like this one? Do I need to write all these code manually, or do I need to write all this code manually, or do I need to write all this code manually? So I will say no. You rarely have to do such thing manually. Yes, you need to alter in some situation. You need to update few lines of code in some situation, because these are required pillar of any Angular application. And how you get it? You get it from Angular CLI. Angular is saying, if you need to develop any web application, then use Angular CLI. Angular CLI is a command line interface tool. So let me show you how we do this. So right now, the screen you see, this is an IDE. This is an editor. And I'm using Visual Studio Code. You can use any. And similar one is the Notepad. Okay. And I will not recommend you to use a Notepad, because Notepad is not intended for programming purpose. You should go with any programming editor like this one, Visual Studio Code, or you can go with the Bellstorm, or you can go with any other IDE that support your development. When I say support, so that means whenever you write any JavaScript or TypeScript related code, it help you with the with the pre-populated code. So we can see it later. So here I'm inside a directory. I call it EB Adobe's Masterclass, and inside you see one application demo, and it is pre-built. I developed this. I taken it from Angular official site. One of the reason why I took it from the an official site, while I mean, whoever is interested to continue on Angular side or career in the front end development or Angular development, they can definitely can go to the Angular official site and can continue on this application, because here we have limited time. We will talk about limited things. You guys can connect with Adobe. Adobe can provide more trainings on this. Okay, so here you see right now how it was started. Let me show you. So this is how we create any application. Before this, you need some kind of software requirement. So as you see, this is my environment. I have Node 14. So to develop any Angular application, you need to install Node version, and I will recommend Node 14, at least Node 14. So Node.js is a programming language and environment. So you need this, because the environment you see, the development environment takes help from the Node.js, and it uses its package manager. So you need Node. When you install the Node, then in your system, you will see the node as well as its package manager. They call it npm. Okay, that gets installed. Apart from this, you need to install with the help of npm. You need to install Angular CLI that I was talking about. And why do you need Angular CLI? Angular CLI give you a command to create a new application, to create a certain part or update certain part inside your application. Also, it will give you command to build your application. It will help you to deploy your application. There are several activities you can do. I mean, you need not to do things manually. That's why I say that use the Angular CLI. That is the efficient and the smart way to work with. And here you see few more things. This Angular, DAP architecture. So all these things you need not to worry about. I will show you how we do this. So here you see, uh, uh, I'm here. Here I open the terminal. Okay, you can use any terminal, GitWest or any Node.js terminal separately. But as I used to use this terminal, Visual Studio terminal, so I open it. So here you can see this the directory structure. So you see in this EB masterclass, I have a directory, this demo application. Here I'm going to create a new application. And how do we do this? So we need to use this command ng and ng new, and suppose you name your application app1, anything, you can name it anything. Okay, here I call it app1. So while you do this ng new app, so see what happened. So while I execute this command, it is asking, would you like to add Angular routing? And what does that mean? Yes, I'm going to say yes, but what does that mean? Let me click on yes, and then I will explain you. Okay, next question is, which style sheet format would you like to use? So you definitely will be aware that any web application use some kind of mechanism to deal with styling, and the default one is the CSS. And there are few other smart options as CSS, SAS, Flash, Stylus. These are, I will say, these are kind of a framework of CSS. Okay. Ultimately, they also develop the CMS, but here I'm saying that I will go with the vanilla CSS. Okay. And I click on enter. So it will take the default one, and you see it is doing something. It is saying that created this file, created this file, created this file. So, and you have seen, I talked about AngularJS and packages and readme, ts config, editor config, git ignore, ts app, some folder, source, favicon, index. Okay, so it is still going on. So let me tell you what is routing, what it was asking about. Okay, go back to this application. So here you see, while I click on the dashboard, it takes us to dashboard. While I click on the heroes, it takes us to heroes. While I click on the Dr. IQ, it takes us to another page with some kind of a query param, path param. Okay, so here in non-Angular language, we will say these are three pages, but in Angular we will call it there are three view, and those three view are served by three routes. So these are routes. This is one route, it is another route, and there is third one. So there are three routes to serve three different pages, serve different view. So to if you don't implement routing, then you cannot create any such routing. You will have only single page, and you cannot go outside that single page. I mean, you cannot generate multiple view from that single page. That's why they come up idea of routing if you need to develop multiple pages. And once you have inside the application, you have these three pages. Okay, you can align these links, these routes with hyperlink, like this one. Here I attach slash heroes. If I click here, it take you to the slash hero. Here, this link, I align one link dashboard slash dashboard. So it might be you have 3, 4, n number of routes, but you did not added it. You did not added it to any hyperlink. You can directly access, but you are a developer, but user does not know. If you want user to interact with with nice UI, nice UI experience, you need to map with some link. Because here you see in the header, we had only two links, and that take us to respective page. We have actually three routes. Third route is detail slash something, and let me open any detail slash 13. It will take you to the respective page. Okay, and but it was not added in the header. So I'm saying there could be, I mean, this application expose some routes, and those routes you can assign those routes to some hyperlink so that user can navigate to those particular page. So that is routing. So we said that yes, in our application we are going to use routing, and that's why it created some additional file to enable this feature. So it is done. You see, it created something, some warning. Ignore those warnings; those are related to editor. Okay, and here you see it is saying successfully initialize the gate. Ignore also, because what happened whenever nowadays we are in a smart world, and whenever it might be on a single application, there might be 100 developers are working if this is a big application. And so we need a mechanism where more than one developer can work. That's why we have concept of you might heard about git. Git is a source code repository. You can, I mean, it is a kind of inside a one directory, you can have multiple variant of your code. I mean, it might be you are working with different, I mean, this is altogether a separate concept. It is a kind of versioning. You can maintain multiple version, and this is required if 100, 20 or 25 or 50 developers are parallelly working. So we had to deploy our code. We need to create one kind of container, one kind of repository on a central server. And this is how each and every developer take a copy of that code, do their code, post their changes. This is how developers collaborate and develop a big application. So that's why whenever we develop a Angular application, it automatically creates it as a repository. And that's why it says successfully initialize the gate. But for now, you can ignore it. Ultimately, it created one application. And what is this? Let me show you again. Let me just close all other tabs. And here you see one directory. Why it picked the name app1? Because I asked CLI to develop one directory with app1, and this is a application, Angular application. And while I expand this directory, you see almost all the files you have seen are demo application. So that's why I mentioned for those who just started learning Angular or learning web application development or single page application development, they need not to worry about all these things are created by that CLI. You just need to worry about your business logic, or worry about your pages and the content you are going to serve and how you arrange them. Okay, so the first thing you should notice in this application, that is package.json. And what is this? So package.json is the file where we mention name of our application. It automatically took, because I asked him to name it F1, and it is saying it is version 000. Okay, and it set up some script, some subcommand, and we can use a command to control this application. I will show you later. It is saying this is a private application, and two more block of configuration, dependencies and dev dependencies. So because this is not a just simple HTML or CSS development, we are dealing with a complex framework. And why they make it complex? Because it actually helps us while you are dealing with lots of things. While your application grow, it makes your life easier. Okay, so what this section says, this dependency, it is saying if you are going to develop any Angular application, so there are some functionality that is already available in your in this framework, Angular framework. Also might be that Angular does not provide that feature. You might be you might need some feature, and that feature is already developed by someone. So you need not to write that code again and again. Okay, so somewhere we call it npm. They call it npm registry. Npm registry is a server where some, I will say some in thousands or maybe lakhs uh, libraries, or we call it package. We call, I mean, technically they name it npm package. There are, and what are the npm package? They are kind of a libraries. Okay, so some libraries available on some location, and you can use those libraries. And how do you use in your application? You just know what kind of library you need and what is the name. So I'm saying that we need RxJS library in this application. Okay, and we need its version 6.6.0. And this is how, while I mention this statement here, so it will fetch this library from that server for our development purpose. And this is Angular also come up with the same. I mean, we added dependency of Angular in the same way. Here we are using Angular, and what Angular did not develop a single library, because Angular come up with so many features. And based on your requirement, you might not need all the feature. So that's why they divided their library in small packages. If you want to add some kind of an animation, they say that use this package. It will give you some kind of feature, some kind of functionality, some kind of methods to deal with the animation. It is saying normal common activities. There are so many things. Okay, this common package will provide all these things. The If you need to do with compiler related things, then you need to include those. So this is, if you are dealing with form related things, you need to include this. And while you include this, it will come up with so much code, and you can use it in your application. You need not to rewrite again and again. So this is where why we define our dependencies. And this is just a core example, a sample application. At least each and every Angular application need these dependencies. Based on your application and application grow, you know your requirement. And if you are aware about web application development, you definitely will find out that, okay, I need this kind of feature. I need not to write the code manually. Such code is already available somewhere, and they name it something. I just need to use the name and exit version. And this is how this application will take that code, and based on that code, I can write my code, my application. So this is the place where we define dependencies. And dev dependencies is also a kind of dependencies. Those are not directly related to feature. Those are required to development purpose. We need not to go into the detail. It might confuse you for now. So for you, these all are dependencies. We are not writing. We are just fetching it somewhere, some central repository. And other file you need to take care. You need to know about. No other is needed. You can ignore for now. Yes, you need to know about this directory. So what is node module? So this is the module. So whenever it creates application, so what it does, how it fetch all the required package it mentioned. So while I ask it to create, it execute one more command in the backend. I mean, in the background, that was npm install. So what npm install do? Npm install command read this package JSON and read each and every dependency and fetch it from somewhere and place that library, that package inside this directory. This is how now my application, uh, my application using all these libraries, small libraries. It could be 100,000. Okay, it could be anything. I mean, so this is how this npm thing work, package dependency work inside the Angular application. So you need not to worry about too much. And this one is the main directory, source one, because your entire application code, actual code, is exist inside this directory. This one, source one. Okay, and now we will focus on only on this directory, source one, and let me explain you what is inside. So here you see test.ts. You just ignore it. You can see here style.ts. So this is the file. I mean, each and every web application, we have one or more than one style file that contains CSS, styling related IDs and CSS. I mean, it contains styling. So this is the one main file where we contain the style, and we call it style.css. This polyfill, for now you can ignore. This is needed for browser compatibility, some other things. So for now, you are not going to deal with in any initial or development or basic application. Okay, so style.css is the main thing. Main.ts is another important file. Index.html definitely. Fab icon, you all are aware that each application has unique icon. Okay, so this is how we add uh, each web application need one file. We call it fabicon.ico, and it is a logo. And uh, where do you see? So you see here in the title of this page, use title of this application, tour of page, a tour of heroes, and you see this icon. So this is the fab icon, and each one, like this one, I'm using here one tool, Figma. So it has this one. Angular has their unique icon. This sample application has this one. So this is how we develop web application, and each web application can have unique icons, so that for marketing purpose, for identification, online identity, each application must have. Well, it is not a functional feature, but this is standard. And what is index.html? So as name says, this is a single page application. So this is that single page. Actually, this is the file. I mean, whenever you request any web server and that web server hosts any application, so this is the default convention. If you don't request for any particular page, it redirects. It will give you index.html. So this is the main file. Whenever we access any single page application, Angular application, that server give us this index.html. And in this index.html, we have everything directly or indirectly, because whenever I access this application, let me just again access it. So whenever I uh, write down this localhost 4200 and click on it, it will fetch. Let me show you so how to debug. Let me start a little bit about debugging. Uh, we will have a look on this index network tab, and again let me reload the page. Here you see something. Okay, whenever I request, so it return so many things. It returns so many things. Just give me. Yeah. So you see here, so it returns the index.html as well as some other files also. So I wanted to say that this is the main file, and it has each and everything. And it here you see it mentioned about the fav icon. This is how it fetched the fav icon. Here you don't see here, but there. I mean, this is a kind of a dummy template development file. But while we compile it and make it ready for deployment, then at that moment this file gets extended with few more content. And this is how this file know about almost each and everything inside this application. Okay, I will show you. So so this is the index.html, the main file. And this main ts is kind of a because here in the index.html, you see in the body, apart from this line number 11, each and everything is in pure html. And you might know, you can, there is nothing new. Doc type is not new, html tag is not new, head, meta, title, base, yeah, links, head, body tag, all these are html, and browser know about it. As a html developer, you know about it. Only new thing is the app root. So concept angular, what angular say, you can write new new tags. new tag that are not available in the HTML. And why do you want to write a new tag? Because you want to write some custom logic, some custom feature that are not available in the HTML. And here we are saying that in this application we develop one tag, one selector, or we can say one component. We call it app root, and app root is to responsible to provide all these features, whatever you have seen here. All these things are available inside the app root. So app root is the main component. Main It has all the code. And how does it happen? Basically, while our browser asks for Angular application, and server send this index.html, and while browser execute this line by line and read it app/root. So this app/root is replaced by whatever you see here, each and everything, and how it works. And I will explain you in next few minutes, and where we define this app root, because HTML does not know anything about it. Browser does not know anything about it. So while browser read it, how browser will interpret it? Okay, so that is what I'm going to explain. And apart from this, in this you will see app directory, asset directory, environment directory. So environment directory means right now we are in development environment, and there while we deploy it any server, actually while we host it for actual end users, we call it production environment. There might be multiple environments, like this is the local development environment. There might be testing environment where tester test. There might be canary environment where we do testing exit before launching it to production. So there might be multiple environment based on it. So here in this directory, we define all the environments we need. And if you see here inside, what is inside? Again, some kind of configuration. So here, this file, while we say environment.ts, it is a kind of default one, development one. Okay. And while we say the production, then environment.prod. If you want to develop another environment.canary, environment.text. This is how we can add more files here, more environments here. And here we are defining environment related configurations. So right now we just saying that this environment is a production one. That's why production is true. If it is not a production one, then production is false. And if you read the documentation, here you can talk about where our API hosted, and do we need to enable debug. There are certain parameters you can configure here. Okay, so those are environment specific. We can ignore for now. And in this asset one, what are assets? So what are assets? So in any web application, whether it is a conventional or any you are using Angular or React or any framework, asset are, I mean, images used inside an application, that are assets. Some external JS library, those are assets. Okay, so those are example of assets. So we can place those here. And this one, this is the main directory, that is app, and app contain each and everything. So in the index.html, you have seen one tag. We call it, we read it app root, and Angular, I mean, browser does not know, and HTML does not know. So how browser is going to execute this, and how browser know that this is defined? Because framework, this Angular framework, tell the browser that its definition is available, why it is here, and what it will do. It is defined inside app directory. So actually, our whole application exists inside the app directory. And again, because it is a framework, it come up with certain kind of arrangement of files. So it is saying, if you can develop a tag, and this tag is designed to do something like you are aware about tag, div tag, span tag. If you want to write a statement, this is a sample text. So what we will do? You can write open div, and you write this statement, close div, or you can write span, open span, then write this statement. And so what each and every tag do something. If you use the header one H1, or if you use the B bold, so it will bold the content. H1 will highlight is as a header one. Okay, so each tag do something. So what this tag is doing, this tag is serving some content, and how it is serving, and how to define such tags. Then this is the place where we define. So actually, this tag is defined here. This one. So this is the tag where we define. While browser execute it, it it know its definition is defined inside some component, and that's why it go through this app component. And how it know the app component is the file, because if you go to the main.ts, it is saying at line number 11, it is saying that app module is the starting point of this application, initial point. I mean, browser should connect with this file, know more about whatever development we here we did. And this app module is the our main entry point. And and this is so basically here we write some code and club together, and we say this is a module, single module, and this module, single module, contains each and everything. And if you are aware about module structure, we can divide our application in several modules. Uh, so this is one module. You can create multiple modules, but as for Angular is saying there is a one root level module, and inside that, this module can take care of multiple child modules, and their child modules can take care of to do certain activities. So any query so far? Because it was a monologue, and yes, who are not much familiar with the Angular might get bored and definitely have some query.
So, Nirmat has a question in the chat box. What
Yes.
is that E2E folder?
Okay. Yeah. E2E folder, and another one is that what is Figma. Okay. Okay. So here we have E2E. What does, I mean, E2E means end-to-end testing. End-to-end. I mean, it is short form of end-to-end. And why we have it? Uh, so basically, what happened? Uh, you might heard about end-to-end testing. What is end-to-end testing? Whenever we are done with this application, so suppose this is a final application. This is done. Whatever we wanted to do, this is our final application, or we are in any stage of the development, and we obviously we cannot launch our application because there we cannot rely on developers. Developer has certain mindset. They write this code, they develop it based on certain requirement, but they are not the right kind of person to test it. So we have different kind of role in our development. We call them tester. Okay, so testers are responsible to test this application. This is how QA quality related things work. So they test this application. Now there are two modes to test this application. Suppose I take example. Suppose Pratibha is a tester, and we pass this application to Pratibha. We deploy this application, and Pratibha is responsible to test this application, and she will test it based on some. So she will read the requirement and will check. Okay, if requirement is saying that on the landing page, whenever we access this application, it will take us to the landing page, and landing page should be the dashboard. So she will check that dashboard is coming or not. URL should be dashboard, and when this dashboard is called, then this page is coming or not. Or on the dashboard, there should be a section top heroes. So she will cross check with the actual requirement. Our tester cross check with actual requirement, and this is the manual way to do this. Another way is the automation. So there are several tools in available, several technologies available where testers use some kind of tools and technology to test this application. Fine. I mean, ultimately they are testing different feature of the application. They are checking that yes, title should be top heroes. There should be only four items there. If five items are there, then it is wrong, because as per the requirement there should be only four. And what is the criteria to fetch, is it is the right criteria that is mentioned in that document or not. Okay, so two, I mean, Angular came up with one tool. They call it they call it Protector. So Protector is another library, another tool. With the help of Protector, you can write some code to automate this testing, so that and you write such kind of code inside this directory E2E. So E2E is the place where you write such code that are required to do automated end-to-end tests. So that's why we have E2E, and Angular has one tool, they call it Protector. There are several tools available in the market you can use for E2E, Selenium, or there are so many. The official one was Protector. And answer to second question, what is Figma? Uh, so what is Figma? So Figma, while in the initial, in the starting of this session, I was talking about that development phase come later. First, we do requirement gathering analysis. Okay, based on that, we come up with design. I mean, how we are going to arrange those section on the page, on which page what content will be there. I mean, we design its we have to finalize its design, how it will look like. Okay, how it will look like, and we enforce UX, user experience. I mean, can we put this hero search at the bottom of top heroes? Is it good to move this section at the top? So UX person and UI person define all these things, and then they come up with some kind of artifacts. So Figma is a tool. Figma is a tool, and Figma provide actually two kind of internal tools. One they call it uh, one they call it this kind of this kind of interface. They provide two interface. Let me just open. They call it FigGen. So the interface you are seeing, the FigGen, this is used by stakeholders whenever we are working on some application design phase, or some kind of. So here we use this canvas to discuss this. Okay, so here we mention, okay, uh, we can talk about its requirement, specify. Here we say, we can say that list of heroes. Okay, so this is just a canvas to discuss and present your ideas with the team. So this is a collaborative, this is a tool for collaboration. There is another kind of files or tools are available, that is design files. And what are these design files? These design files, designer, UX designer or UI designers who work on interactive design, they use this tool, this canvas. And final outcome is they will come up almost similar design here. They design it here, but this is static design. This is not an interactive design. And while you design each and everything, like just take this one example. I'm going to suppose I need one header. They are saying that you need to head, you need this header, and this header will have some kind of color. Okay, I mean, this is just an example process. Okay, each page. I mean, suppose I'm going to design one page. This page is consist of these three sections. So this UI designers design those pages something like this. Okay, they define each and everything. They decide the height of this header. They decide width of this, and they decide what colors of the background will be, what going to put inside. So suppose we are saying that inside the header at the top we will have a title, and title will look like two of heroes. Okay, and then at the bottom we will have links. So each and everything is planned by designer based on the requirement listed by different stakeholders, and they develop it, and they after that uh, they pass this artifact to development team, and this development team is responsible to read this, because this contain each and everything. If you go to the inspect section, then you will see each and every detail of this design. You will see its width should be 628 pixel, height should be 95 pixel, because it was designed by designer as per the requirement. And the background color is this. They read it, and based on all these specifications, they develop HTML. When in the conventional way, in the Angular application, they develop something like this. Let me just open how we use it. So obvious, suppose we have to develop some HTML. We have to develop some HTML. One example. Instead of going into this, let me just go to the demo application. So here in this demo source, so here on dashboard page, you see here on the dashboard page, there should be one header, top heroes, and it should be S2 tag, and there should be one section, we call it heroes menu. Okay, heroes menu, and it should have some specification class heroes. So how a developer know what kind of HTML tag or what kind of code I need to write? So basically, they follow this design developed by UX UI designer. So this is one of the tool UX UI designer use. Another, there are so many designer, Adobe Photoshop, or there are so many tools to develop the design. I hope I was able to answer your question. Fixam, as I mentioned, Fixam is kind of a for discussion, and those are for actually known designers, because in a when we develop as a part of development team, could be there could be a product owner, there could be product manager, there could be a tester, or there could be other stakeholders. Though those are not familiar with such tool. So Figma come up idea of Fixam, where different people can jamming, they can discuss their ideas. So they have easy to use, easy, they have just they have easy to use tool. I mean, you can present your ideas in form of graphically, something like this, that here, like something like this, that here I want to say that, okay, in our application we will have one dashboard page, and on the dashboard page you can connect, I mean, there might be another page, we will call it heroes, and this dashboard can be connected with we can go to the heroes from a link from the dashboard, and heroes might have another page. So this is how we are presenting our idea. It is a tool where we can present our ideas in form of with the help of these graphical artifacts, simply, and nothing else. You can do anything, whatever you want to do with this canvas. You can explain anything, you can note down some ideas, you can write down your requirement, whatever you want to do. I hope why we use Figma now. Yeah, so I wanted to show that how just so we created this application app1, and we gone through this. And if you want to run this application, how we run it? We run it something like this. We run it uh, npm run start. So this is the command line tool. Okay, I'm not in the right directory. So let me go into the right directory. It is F1. And yes, if I run here, if I want to run this application, I will do npm run start. And why npm doing something against this command? Because it was designed to do, okay, another application is running on port 4200. That's why it is unable to run it. Let me just Okay, yeah. So I mentioned that why it took this command and doing something. So as per me, it will serve this application, or it will host this application so that you can access it locally. So we are hosting locally, we are accessing it locally. Okay. So here in this application, there is a configuration inside the package.json, and in the package.json, it created few commands. It is saying while you execute npm run start, then internally it will execute ngServe. Okay, and you can argue why you did not use ngServe directly. Why did you execute this command? So because these are allies, and this allies, why we use allies? It might be we can combine multiple commands in this allies. It might be I want to execute first. I will want to execute ngServe, and after that subsequent calls. So I can define all commands here inside the line number 6 against this allies. So if I execute allies, then it will execute all the commands related to this. That's why they come up with this idea that you can create allies. So finally, it is saying that it is compiled, and it has been deployed locally. You can access it on localhost 4200. So while you create any application with this command ng-new and name of the application, you get this application. So here you see this application. I mean, this one page is developed, and they come up with some content. I mean, this is a default sample application. They develop it. Okay, and let me show you how this page is coming. So if you go there, as I mentioned, all source code is inside the app application. So if you go to the app component.html, this is the main file. Here you see they arrange all the styles here. I mean, they do all these things here. However, you should not put CSS here inside. Let me just remove each and everything. Let me just remove everything. I will only remain this one single statement. Okay, and see what happened. What we see now, all has gone because they put some content on this page, and I remove each and everything. And now what is happening? I mean, here you see there is router outlet. What does that mean? So it means this application is designed to serve multiple pages, and this is the placeholder because this is single page application. When you access this application, it serves this app component.html. Okay, and how this app component this HTML is served by this, because we did some kind of coding. Okay, and while browser execute this router outlets, and so it asks, it look for the address bar. If there is any request for any particular route. If it is not, then it will ultimately it will check inside the routing module. And if here you see in the routing module, there is nothing, no routes are defined so far in this application. Okay, yes, it support, but we did not define any route, so that's why it is not serving anything else. Yes, outside below, or the object section, if you write something, it can render. This is just sample content, and if you save it, you see it on the page. So that's why, because you are using Angular framework, this is a smart and using a smart IDE, and development is easy. Whenever you make any change in the file, it automatically track the changes, compile it, and deploy it. And this is how you can see instantly the changes. And so it means you can write any kind of code, any kind of here. Okay, and you can see those will reflect. So basically, how things are working. This is the template file. This is the HTML file, a regular HTML file, and how this regular HTML file gets contained uh, in each and every component inside Angular. There is a TS file that is a pure TypeScript file with some decorator. Okay, what is decorator? Decorator is some kind of code. It is saying there is a class, we call it app component. There is one variable defined, title equal to f1. This class is a component because we we set one decorator, we are saying that here we are marking this class as a component, as an Angular component, and its component name will be app component. Its HTML file is app component.html. If you want to use any CSS, its associated CSS file is app component.css. And this is how, whenever we create a component, it automatically create 4 5 files: CSS file to handle the CSS, HTML file to place the HTML, and other Angular custom tags, and this TS file to do some kind of business logic or programming logic with the help of TypeScript. And there is one more file you see in each and every component, that is test file. So test is another concept. Whenever we write some code, we need to write some test to test our development code. I mean, this is how we ensure that it is working as per our defined requirement. So this is altogether separate concept, so you can ignore. So in each and every component, you will find, if we ignore this one, each and every component, you will find these 3 files: TS, HTML, and CSS, and they all has some intended use: CSS for CSS, HTML for HTML, and TS for programming purpose. And you cannot develop a component. Component cannot be orphan. A component should be part of any module. This is why they develop one default module, and they say this module is the owner of this component file, this HTML file, this CSS file, and all together, all these files, module, component, TS, and this routing, all together, they made one Angular application. And this Angular application can be served by app root, and this app root is served by one HTML file. And this is how this single file is able to serve n number of views. This is how we add one single page in any application. And if you want to know how to add different view, how to add different routing, definitely I will show you. But instead of this, we can take our existing example. I can add few more features on existing, then it will help you to know it in detail. Okay, let's go back to our demo application. Let me just close others, and here we are. Close all. Here we are in demo, and let me just let me go back to the demo application, CD demo, and let me start this application again, because I stopped it earlier, and I know the command npm run start, and it started the application. And so let me define you each and everything what is there inside. So inside as now we know, each and everything is available inside source app. So inside the app, here you see so many files. So first we will go to the routing, because now we know how Angular application are composed. They are composed with the help of routing. So here you see inside this routing file, app routing module, you see here one array of routes. So here you see one path heroes is defined, other path dashboard is defined, other path details/id is defined, other path blank is defined. So it is saying if user does not ask for any path, any route, then it will redirect to dashboard. That's why whenever you access it without any route like this one, it automatically redirects to dashboard. Okay, and this is defined here. And if you directly ask for heroes, it will not redirect you to dashboard. It will take you to the hero space, because it is defined here inside this statement. Okay, this is how you can add n number of routes. Okay, like you have seen here, that are available inside our Angular application. And one more thing, so this is the path, and this is name of our routes. What is this component? So it is saying whenever user requests for heroes or details or dashboard, that content will be served by their related component, and name of the component is this. So whenever I access heroes, then I got this view, and how this view was generated. Let us see. So it is coming from heroes component, and where it is defined, let me directly go to there. Actually, it is defined inside app inside heroes. So it itself, if you see, if you know about the Angular, it is a component. And how we know it is a component? Its class name is heroes component. Okay, and we applied one decorator. It make us a component. Its name is heroes, app heroes. Wherever I use this tag app heroes, it will it will serve the content of heroes.component.html, and it will use this CSS file. And this is how it presents some and though that view can be served with the help of this ts file, this html file, and this css file. So let us jump to this html file, and here is the code. So here you see one header tag s2 my heroes. So here you see my heroes. Okay, my heroes. If you change it something, edit it, you will see the changes here. You see here changes, edit it. So you can, so this is a kind of a page title, okay, section title. And then you see another div. And why this div was designed? This div is a kind of a provide add hero add hero section. Okay, so here we have one section, we call it, we enter our hero name. We can say xyz or abc. And while I click on this add hero, it will take this input and add it to this list. Now how it was happened? Because we created one section, one kind of a form. It is not actual form. I mean, form can work even without form tag. So here we created label, or what kind of input is. We defined one input field. Okay, we defined its ID. We defined its template reference. I mean, this is how we access it. We defined one button, and this button has a type of button. We applied some class to give some styling. We added one click event, and we added some text inside this button. I mean, this is how button will look like, and it will be called add hero. So there are some differences in normal HTML development and Angular development. You will see here. You already know that Angular HTML buttons also come up with click handler, and you just need to assign some method. It is also similar, but there is difference. While we use these bracket, so we are saying it is not a HTML vanilla event handler. This is from Angular one, and this is the similar, but it will come up some additional features. They actually extended vanilla features with the Angular, and here we added one method, and this method is taking this variable name, hero name input. I mean, it fetched the value from the input, and this is how, while you click on this button, it will execute this method and will take input from this. And let's see what happened and where this. So HTML files does not deal with any programming stuff. They can read the variables. They can provide placeholder to execute some method. Some This is how we add interactiveness on any page. They can read some kind of array, some kind of list, and draw whatever structure you want to see. So here, that's why you see here uh, this input box, this add button. Okay, and while you add something here, okay, if you add something here and click on it, okay, it do something, and there is a list. This list is, there is a section that read a list of some heroes and list down in certain format. It could be tabular structure. It could be unordered list. So here they are using this unordered list. Okay, and each item is a link. They create it as a link instead of they applied this anchor tag. And you will see here there are around 12 items, 12, 13 items, but they write only single line because they are using Angular syntax. So this is a Angular syntax for a for loop. So this statement is saying repeat this list a certain number of times, And how many number of times? It depends on how many items are available inside heroes array. And for each iteration, create a hyperlink and a button. And that's why you see this hyperlink with this button. This is button. So let's see what is happening inside the ad. So whenever you click on the ad that is defined inside the TS file, so you will see add methods are available, its associated component, TS file, and you see it takes name, it string it, and it pass some value, pass some value to some service, and service is another entity that take care of data, and this is how it pass it some heroes array, and that's why you see here earlier uh, while it rendered while we rendered this phase, it was listing only a few items, and while we add, it append few more. Okay, when we click on here, it appends this list because they are updating this action. Update our source array that contains all the available heroes. This is how Angular works. In the Angular component, inside the TS file, define variables, and we define its required methods, and we use those methods in the HTML. We use those variables if we want to display something. Okay, this is how any Angular component works. And if we want all these features, its associated view we want to render its associated view somewhere, then we use this selector to display like this one. So we know if we render add hero somewhere, it will display whatever is defined here. Okay, and this is why uh, these routings are working, as I mentioned. So while you click on the heroes, it took you to the heroes component. While you click on the dashboard, it took you to the dashboard component. Dashboard component. So actually, in other way, you can say we created few pages, and this dashboard page is served by this code that is defined inside. Heroes is served by this page that is defined here. Okay, and there are few common things like the message one. So there is a section that can be used everywhere. So instead of adding this, if you see the message one again, it is a component, is a selector. Wherever we use, it will come up with some content, and this content is defined here. And if it is a common entity, so what we do, we define it here uh, uh, outside the routing. So it is saying on each, whenever we access any page, each page will have the common title, each page will have a common navbar. Okay, each page will have at the bottom this app message content, but based on the routing, the main content area will get changed. So this is how we defined our main template, and main template is using one section, and this section will get rendered based on the provided route. And based on the provided route, we fetch that content and place it here. And this is how finally index.html gets the final content, and you see in the browser here. Any query?
Hello?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Sir, this is Ramna Nayak. So how
Yeah.
many heroes we can add, sir? Any limit?
I mean, yes. So because this is a dynamic application, and right now, yes, one thing I want to mention, as I mentioned, one statement that inside. Let me just open again. So here in hero space, as I mentioned, you see here list of heroes, and this list of heroes is not a hard-coded one. It works based on available data, and how data is coming, because we write this code in such a way that it can serve n number of content. I mean, because this is a sample, we know we are dealing with 10, 12, 13, because we gave a feature to add n number of features. You get right now, you see a default list for 10 or 12. You can add 13, 14, 15, 16. But in practical way, like you have seen on several application, you have seen some kind of pagination, some kind of tabular information. If if item is more than 10 or 20, then there is a concept of pagination. It says on one page, on one section, we should not show more than 10 or 20 data, because this will not come inside a defined screen space. Okay, so in those scenario, we only ask for limited data. Suppose that there are 5028 records, so we are asked for first 20. Then while we click on the second page, so it gives us another set of 20. But here we are not we did not implement it pagination. Here we are showing some whatever component, whatever elements are available here. Here you see 10, 12, 13. Okay,
Thank you,
and
sir.
for all these things are not hard coded. You will see here it's associated. TS does not contain any variable that has any hard coded value. It has one blank variable, and this blank variable array gets populated while we render it. And how this data gets came, it is coming from one common utility service, or we will call it Angular service. We define it. Okay, and if I open this file, so here is the file. So Angular has concept of services where if you have to deal with any external, so here is the backend comes in the picture. If your Angular application need to communicate with any backend, you write this kind of utility file. This is the Angular service, because here we mention injectable provided in something. So it becomes a Angular service, and it give us option to interact with any any web service like this one. So there is a route. We are saying there is somewhere this web API is hosted, and here we are consuming this. So here you see get heroes, and here we are passing that particular. We are asking for all the list of all the heroes. Here we are passing a particular ID. So here we are asking for any particular hero, not all the list. Here we are using searching the heroes based on some particular text. So this is how we interact with any backend with the help of web services. So these are the Angular services that help us to interact with web services, and these interact with the help of input. And how these services get the input, because we use in the Angular components use Angular components use these services to interact with the web API. So these are medium. This is why in the heroes component, you just know that you will get data in this variable. If you see it's related TS, then you find this heroes is while you load this component, it is a blank. But in between, while it loads, it fetch some heroes details from somewhere. You see this method, you see it is taking help from one service. So and while you go to this service, you will find, okay, this is taking help from one HTTP module defined provided by Angular, and this module is designed to interact with external web services, and it works based on the URL and the provided data, whatever input parameter we pass. And if that server is capable to handle that request, then we will get data. And this is how these services return data here. And this is how we define our variables. And once variables are populated inside the TS, then our HTML will be able to render it. This is how things are happening in the backend while you access this page. Whenever you access this page, so if somewhere we have list of 350 heroes, it can give us 350s. And our HTML, our Angular application, this page is designed in such a way it can read content data on the fly and can accumulate on this page. I hope I was able to answer your question. Yeah, I will take 2 minutes more.
Yeah.
One thing I definitely want to tell, debugging. So how to debug? So we use developer tool, and you are aware. If you are aware with web development, then you can check any HTML code, source code with the help of this. Okay, so this is how you can check the element. Okay, what element? Here you see it is a H1 element. Okay, and this is how we inspect any HTML on the page. But our application is consist of two things: pure HTML plus Angular tag. Okay, so you will find those one also, like this one. If I click on here, if I click on here, this one. Okay, so here you will see this. There is a div, and inside div, some label is there, hero name. There is a button. There is an input field, and if you check its parent div, at the top there is a header, and all these contents are presented in the app heroes. This is how if you did not develop, you can check. Okay, this content is coming from app heroes component, and now you can edit this code. Okay, this is one thing. And if you know, with the help of this, you know that it is coming from this heroes component. And if you want to, this is how you check the HTML. If you want to debug something in the TS, what is happening in the TS, then it is also possible. So what to do? You go to the source, and you just know the name of the component, heroes. Okay, so you can control P, open. Here you see heroes component. You can find whatever files are available behind this application. You can access it like this. Okay, and you can add the debug point. So you just want to know what is happening while you click on the add. Okay, so you can do one thing. You know that this add button gets executed, so you can add a debug point, and now try to add something. Like I try to add Kumar, and while I click on add hero. Okay, so as from the HTML we knew, while we click on this button, then this method gets executed, and this method is defined in its associated component, and that's why we open this component file in the browser and added one debug point, because because I wanted to know that what is happening at line number 26. That's why here I added line number 26. Now execution get stopped for this moment because we are debugging. So what can we do? Now we can know what is coming inside the name. Okay, if you mouse over this here, you see that now you know that Kumar is coming. You can navigate one by one. Okay, and you can check what is happening. Okay, what happened with this at line number 26. Okay, it trimmed this data. Okay, so this is how you can debug its TS code also, because if you are aware about how it's executed. So this is how we debug any. And one more thing, this debug thing should be enabled only on development mode. In production mode, you cannot debug like this, because in production mode, we do some configuration changes, and that configuration changes impact our application while it deploy. Right now, you get the source code, direct source code, but in production mode, we deploy minified version of this file. So files will not be separate files. All files code gets combined and then minified. So there might be a variable name, but you cannot identify because they give it a random number A, B, C. So I mean those are minified. You cannot read them. So that's why I'm saying that this is for development purpose. And obviously you need debugging in only in development, not in the production. Yeah, this was the last thing I wanted to convey. As I mentioned, Angular is a big topic. Web application is a big topic. We cannot cover all these things in 2 hours. So I tried my best. Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining.